Be'ezah Hashem Parsha Shmois Tov Shin Pei Vov. As we enter the Parshias of Shoivovim, Shmois Va'ere Boi B'Shalach Yitzrei Mishpatim, which is special Choshev Parshias, which are connected. Parsha Shmois starts the era when Klal Yisrael goes into Golus, into exile. They go into Mitzrayim, and as they go out of Golus, which starts in the end of Parsha Shmois already, that they cried to the Rebbein Shloilem, and Hashem showed the signs, the Simonim to Moshe Rabbeinu, that I'm going to take Klal Yisrael out of Mitzrayim. They go step by step, meaning first they have the good news that they're going to leave Golus. Hashem is with you, Hashem is going to take care of you. Then we have the Makkos, a year time, where Hashem is showing them that I'm going to take revenge of the Mitzrayim for everything that they did, and I'm taking you out l'mala miderech hateva. Then we have Parshas Boi, Yetzias Mitzrayim, but then it's not done. Even after they left Mitzrayim, the Mitzrayim still ran after them, and they thought it's over. And it's a special rough feeling when a person feels that they're, Baruch Hashem, they were saved, and then they look back and they see that it came back. Very, very tough feeling, and many people go through this in life. Very, very tough. When Machla, and the doctor says that it came back, it's so devastating that it's not shaykh. And in the different areas as well. But it's a topic. It's not only a feeling that it's part of leaving exile and reaching redemption, going from Golus to Geula, is that part the Torah teaches us. Then you have, after that, they do another part of the Geula. They daven to Rebbein Shloim, and they do something right by the Yam Suf, that the sea splits, and that's like the final Geula, that the Mitzrayim died. And then Hashem says, okay, I think you're ready for Kabbalah HaTorah, so that takes us to Parshas Yisrael. And they're already right now made out of the right stuff. They went through what they needed to go through to be capable, to be in the right state of mind, they could be makabel the Torah. And then Parshas Mishpatim is elaborating the halachas of the Torah, Parshas Mishpatim. So it's a journey. You started off with Shmois, but then you get there, you get to Yisrei Mishpatim, and the Torah teaches us that every person in their personal golus, which means places where you struggle, areas in life where it seems to be that it's impossible and you can't see the light. So the Rebbein Shem is teaching you throughout the Parshias. Let me walk you through and teach you how to get to that Geula, to the redemption of your personal goals. That's the idea of these Parshias. That's what the Sforim explain. So you have to be very careful when you're learning the Parsha, not to miss the hidden signs, the hidden refu, where you're supposed to emphasize this, because this could be a massive help in the situation that you're going through. In Parsha Shmois is the beginning of it, and in Parsha Shmois the Torah teaches us that when Yidden felt that it's getting so hard, their goals that they're in, they davened to the Rebbein Shloilem, and it was a certain kind of tefillah from the bottom of their heart. It's bringing out that they were screaming to the Rebbein from a very deep place in the heart, and it says, the pasuk says, "Vatal shavosam." Hashem accepted it and heard their cry, and Vayeda Elokim. And then the pasuk says that Hashem came down to their situation and said, I'm going to take you out of this and bring you to Eretz Yisrael and take you out of this whole Mitzrayim. Now what's very simple And of course, you have to, whenever a person learns the topic of Golus and Geula, of being in exile and the redemption, the Geula of it, the number one yesod that a person has to learn is that, of course, Hashem is the one that put you into that Golus. It's not like it happened or bad people put you into that Golus and you're crying to the Rebbeinu Shem to save you from those people. And actually, when it comes to Golus Mitzrayim, the Pasuk clearly spoke about it earlier on to Avraham Avinu. It's official. I'm going to take your children and grandchildren and bring them down to Mitzrayim, and it's not going to be simple. And then, after they leave, they're going to leave Mitzrayim in a much better matzav that they were. It means it's like entering a washing machine and coming out clean, or going through a course, and when you leave, you're a new person. So the pasuk officially states early on that that's what's going to happen throughout Golus Mitzrayim. You turn into a different kind of a person, different type of person. You become more capable of being Makabel the Torah, because that's the end of that story, and all the little details that go on, that a person goes through while they're going through the Golus, is helping them become that person to be able to be Makabel. So the same idea is with every person and their challenges that they have. The personal challenges, the Eibishter is putting you into a Golus officially. And this is the first step to be able to utilize this Golus and chap what you're supposed to be doing there. The number one is that you should understand this was bedafka. Now let's learn some examples of this concept. A person tries to be a successful yid. We start off. You can look at it as let's say a newly married couple, beautiful, happy, both sides. There's money, there's talent, there's healthy nefesh. I mean, what could go wrong? It's just gewaldig. Now, they know that you're supposed to be, they're not thinking about living in a honeymoon whole life. They know she's supposed to go to work. They're trying to say to the Shemaya, two smart people. It's a very big mistake. The mistake is, if a person is thinking that this is how it's supposed to be, that b'siyata d'shmaya, we're here to make simchas, b'siyata a bris and a kiddush, and b'siyata d'shmaya bar mitzvah, and I have bitachon, of course, the Eibishter is going to give me whatever I need. The number one step, to be able to be matzliach, to be able to be successful, is to learn the system of life. And that is, you're in for a tough ride. Promise you. Don't take it the wrong way. Don't take it the wrong way. But this is the metzias of life. Many times we mentioned the Rabbeinu Tam Sefer HaYosher. Says one of the yesod is how a person shouldn't get depressed. Is a person should learn what life is all about. And teach the person that we're not here forever. And this is how it works. And there's something called a hospital. There's something called refuah choili. He does what he says. He uses these examples. And he says, let me teach you about parnasa. Let me teach you. This is what this world is all about. Now, why does it have to be that way? Because if the person would be having a smooth ride, they would never reach deep parts of their soul, of their nefesh. And if that's the case, their Torah, their mitzvahs, their beautiful zaken that they would be doing would be external. And then they didn't work themselves to become that became yours, that you became close to the Rebbeinu Shem on such a deep level that it's not shaykh. It wouldn't be like that. And even if a person would be trying to raise a beautiful from family, and a person would be learning and be keeping mitzvahs, it still wouldn't touch you to get to the bottom of it, to become a very, very emesa yid. That's why the Rebbeinu Shalom set it up in a way that even if you have money and talent, and you have families that are supporting you emotionally, such good people from all sides. There will be bumps on the way and serious ones, and it's set up to be that way, and it's nobody's fault. Stop knocking yourself. How did that happen to me? How is it possible? You could see people later on in life saying, I gave it all I got for this child. You know what I did for that child? I didn't go to work. I gave up my job. I took out a loan to be able to support him. Look what happened. It doesn't make sense. And then the Baskel says, it does make sense. Just the pain is there. But let's try to ease that pain by saying, first of all, it makes sense. Be'emes, it makes sense. If it didn't come to Nisoyin this way, it would have came the other way. There are going to be Nisyonis and heavy ones because it takes a person through a matzav. That Nisoyin takes him through a journey. That journey, if a person is doing what they need to, is helping the person steig in a deep way that nothing would have got the person to serve the Rebbeinu Shalom so deep, so emesdik, so natural, to learn how I'm not balabos on anything, on my own world, on my own health, on my own family. There's zero I could do. I could talk to the Rebbeinu Shalom, but I can't use any of the resources, not friends, not family, not my seichel. It's not going to help me. When a person gets to learn it, and sometimes we learn it the hard way, but we learned it, that's already an amazing achievement, that you learned it, that you chapped. And that comes slowly. Now it doesn't mean, of course, have to review again and again, it doesn't mean that a person has to have a life of suffering. It's called a bumpy ride. When a person has bitachon, they could be happy, geschmack, and go on, and healthy and young, but it's still bumpy, and a person has to take their nefesh and work with it, to be able to keep yourself above water, to be able to learn the right sentences to tell yourself, to argue on the sentences that are not true, and that are pulling you down. So back to our parashas that we're learning. The Rebbeinu Shalom will put you into a golus. Put on your seatbelt, sit back and relax, and know about it. Not to knock yourself or knock others. When you found yourself that it's not the way I imagine it's going to be. The Eibishter told Avraham Avinu, you're a great guy, but your children are going to go into Mitzrayim, and it has a lot of details going into Mitzrayim. It also means the Ruchni's level. They were in Mitzrayim. It wasn't simple. They were in Memtet Sharei Tumah. Why is it my schar for being the first one to realize that there's a manik lebira, that my children are going to have to be in such a deep, dark place? It's the beginning of the story. It's not the end of the story. The end of the story is v'achrechen. They're going to leave Mitzrayim. They're going to be Berchush Godel. They took more parts of the neshama, Nitoitis Akdusha, the way it's called in the Sforim. So that's the idea. The idea is to know that we're going into Golus to be able to become different type of people, and every person it's going to happen. Then we go to the Shlav that Yidden daven to the Rebbeinu Shalom. They realized that the only way to get out is not by trying to break the walls of Mitzrayim. The only way to get out is by screaming to the Rebbeinu Shalom. And then the pasuk says that helped. Patal Shavosam. Hashem accepted it, and it was even before the time. Hashem has different ways of reckoning, of calculating the cheshbon of 400 years. So they left Mitzrayim, the Golus finished. Like they say today, they took off a third for good behavior. It was calculated in a way that be'emes it was before the time. Here there's another very important point. Many people wouldn't usually relate to it that way. Tefillah that helps you go out of that golus is not only the pain type of tefillah, telling Hashem, I can't anymore. I just simply can't. Please help me. That's part of it. But another part of it is, like the Rambam explains, and we mentioned it in the previous shiurim, that tefillah has three components. Tefillah has the part of thanking the Rebbeinu Shalom, and tefillah has the part of being mishabeach, which means, like we say in Ashrei, that we realize and we talk about that the Eibishter is a kol yochel, could do anything, and the rachmanos of the Rebbeinu Shalom is infinite, has no gvul. Tefillah, when it comes out the right way, has all parts. Now, why does tefillah create the matziv that Hashem is going to take you out of Golus? It's not only because you cried hard enough. Like the child said, Mommy, could I have a chocolate? No. Please, no. The child said, I can't, I'm going to die. Okay, I'm going to give you the chocolate. Why should we stay with that first grade understanding what Vatal Shav also means by his Aku? Hashem knew of the pain, felt the pain. The Gemara says in Mesechtes Megillah, Reb Shimon Yochai says, in every golus that Yidden went, Shechina is goloyim moem, and feels the pain. The Mishnah says in Mesechtes Sanhedrin that when a Yid goes through, even if a Rasha gets hit by Bezdin, the Shechina says, I just got hit. The Shechina feels the pain in total even more than you feel it. So why, if I scream loud enough, then Hashem is going to listen to my tefillah? And it's very important to understand this, because sometimes we can go on mamash the whole life and not have the answer. The answer is that tefillah puts you into a different matzav. It turns you into a person which is going to be able to go to the next step. It's like, it's putting you through something, tefillah, if you're doing it right. It's putting information and feelings into you which are making you closer to Geula. One very simple example to explain that is, let's say a father is trying to teach his son Gemara, but it's before the time that the Cheder is teaching them Gemara. He feels his child is a genius. It's his first. And he says, I want to learn with my son Gemara. His son is 6 years old. He starts learning Gemara, and to give credit where credit is due, the father chaps that. Nothing knowing. The kid has no idea what I'm talking about. So then the father could decide, okay, sweet dreams, and then just delete this whole idea that he had. But then he went to a professional in teaching Gemara, and he said, is there anything I can do if I would want my child to get the gist of it, to chap it early on? So he told him, let me explain to you something. Gemara is about learning the mind, how to understand what it means, a kasha, a teretz, you understanding how do you say, a raya, proof to something. You need to get the mind to b'chlal understand, to analyze something. You should be able to ask the child, what do you feel? Is this more accurate? Is the other? What would be a difference between the two? So I could tell you, you take your book that you read with him, this machanayim, this beautiful pictures there, you learn with him, and then asking questions after you learn with him. Try to get his mind to start working. Then, I don't know exactly how quick and how long it's going to take, but I could tell you that you're going on a direction that you're turning him into a person that the mind is becoming more prepared for that. Then again, let's go to our topic that we're learning now. Geula, that means that you should be able to go out of that matzav, that Yidden should be able to go out of that matzav in every person in their personal life, It's something that a person has to be ready. Tefillah is something that is making you more ready and prepared to be able to reach that stage of the end of your suffering. Well, how does that happen? Because when a person davens, if a person learns all the topics of tefillah, the three that we mentioned earlier, the bakosha, the shevach, and the hoidoya, then what happens is that a person is internalizing. He's really getting this. It's getting part of his way of thinking that the Eibusher could be'emes do anything. Eibusher could be'emes do anything, and then a person juggles that, balances it with I'm without Rebbeinu Shalom. There's no way going forward. I have no mahalach. Zero mahalach. I be'emes can't anymore. And a person reminds themselves of matzavim that Hashem helped them, and they start thanking. So when you go back and forth with these three nakudas, what happens is that the person is ready and it becomes natural to believe that the Eibush is going to help me. I don't have to see how. There's a very big difference between a person that's under the Roshim. He's under the not only the impression that he's spyless. That means a person just experienced such a Yeshua, and then he had it again. Now he's still overwhelmed with the experience that he had, and he has that confidence that I don't know how this is going to work. It has nothing to do with me. I promise you. I was already at loss. I was already at the bottom of the barrel, and the Rebbeinu Shalom helped me. And the person feels deep down it only came because of a machshava of tshuva, or machshava of bitachon, or machshava of thanking. When a person is under that roshim, then a person is mamish more okeli that Hashem should bring him that shefa. So tefillah is something that's doing that exercise with your mind. It's doing it with you. When you're davening, you're believing, you're making sure not to give up, and remembering at the same time that you have nothing that you can do about it. But you know, Hashem said He's going to help. Like the Yidden were promised before they went into Golus. Pokoid Yifkoid, Yosef HaTzadik gave them that promise that they're going to go out of this Golus. This was the plan. Hashem promised before He put you into that Golus. Let's take this into our personal life. And it's super important. The person should chap. People go through nisyonos. Nisyonos, many nisyonos are in the personal steiging of a person. That a person should elevate themselves, not to fall with today's challenges, if it's Shmiras Einayim, and different challenges that come up, which is very tough, today's world. It's tough. Many times, a person, because of their old habits, and because of how many times they tried and it didn't work, they gave up. And they feel that if a person has the way, ma toivu ma noim, gesundheit, but I don't, I'm lost. And a person is supposed to understand, this is a golus. You're in a siyonus of kedusha that you're going through, or any different type of nisayon. It could be the same, a nisayon of losing your temper, where a person feels so pchisus on nefesh. They're so embarrassed. They don't want it. Don't want to, again, screaming and fighting. But it just happens. Because for some reason, I don't know what triggers me. But I'm being triggered again and again. And I'm losing it. And in any other type of nisayon where a person is trying so hard, it could be a nisayon in shalom bayis, it could be a nisayon in trying to be mechanech a child, and you know that there's some right ways how to do something, but it just doesn't come out right again and then again. And it's a person is in exile, of course. That's how the person feels. They're locked up they don't have their way out. Very not pleasant to be in this atmosphere, in this situation. It's sometimes like how do they call it? The Milky Way. You're in a certain maslul, and you can't get out of that black hole. It's an orbit. Like you try, but you never matzliach to go out of this cycle. You're being triggered, and then you're answering, and then then it's 2 days of silence now. You're not being matzliach to be born again. That's called golus. That situation is a real golus. Now, a person can't get himself out of that golus. It's not possible on your own. But it's a very, very deep intuition in a person's nefesh, which is deeper than your subconscious in a certain way, but definitely not in the conscious. It's hard to chap it on your own, but it's in you. It's called das, and that das could get you out. Das is the koyach of a person to have a feeling, that intuition of what's the right thing to do. Now, it usually only comes to a person when they are uplifted and they are the opposite of giving up. But again, not in a matziv where a person is in a fight to win. Just when a person has that early morning emesa feeling, it could be after saying Tehillim, it could be in a moment, but a moment of insight, understanding. Hey, that might be the right thing. Now, if a person tries to act upon that havana, that insight that they had, that's the beginning of a geula. It's the beginning of a geula. It could take time. When Eden went out of their golus, it also took time. But there was a tahalich that started. There was a process. In Parsha Shmoi, it says, okay, we started a process. Vayeda Elokim, then Moshe Rabbeinu, then the Nochash. It took a long time. And actually, even after they left Mitzrayim, they still weren't done. And when they were at the Yam Suf, they had one part of Tefillah that they didn't do yet till now. Hashem said, Ma titzak elai, that part you already did. I want you now to sing. The Medrash says, I want you now to sing. Titen shira lemisha ha'melucha v'mamshala shaloi. Before they passed the Yam Suf, when they still had the Mitzvah chasing them. So a person which is in any type of golus should know that what I'm supposed to be doing is supposed to, on the one hand, get to a very deep place that I can't anymore, and I don't want this. And the scream of the neshama that I want to be close to the Baruch Shalom, I don't want this, should come out all the way. But at the same time, a person has to have the other part as well, which is, you have to remember your success. You have to remember your success stories. You have to thank on them. You have to remind yourself of hurdles that you were sure that you cannot pass. By no means. And Hashem helped you. He told me. The other day, he's 60 plus, he told me that someone taught me this idea, gave me this idea, and it really helps me. Every day I get up in the morning, the derech of people is that they start thinking of their daigas, of their issues. It comes in slowly, like the computer is loading. Oh, you okay, like by 10 minutes and 15 minutes, okay, now I'm carrying. Okay, now let me go. He says, someone gave me this idea. The first thing in the morning, I remind myself, all the situations in life that I went through, that I was zicha, I was sure that I have no way how to get through this, and I have no idea what's going to happen. And b'derech nas, Hashem helped me. That's what's my morning. That's what I do the first thing. That gives me a different perspective on the situations, the issues that I'm going through right now. It might be that that's the art scroll edition for the words Moidani. It's a certain way of thanking the Rebbeinu Shalom. If you're there to worry about your issues, it means you're still around. It means you had some kind of ness out there. When a person reminds themselves, and it gets them to go weiter, and they add on nova to their life, and bitachon, and they balance it again and again, and then slowly it puts them in to be that type of a person. It should become your natural way of thinking. And that mahalach of tefillah, when the Yidden were by the Kriyas Yamsuf, they did that, and that's what they needed. They didn't need now the crying to the Rebbeinu, I can't. The Eibusha said, Matitza Keilai. And then, now you're ready for the full Geula. Till now, you couldn't have the full Geula. There's a Yid, there used to be a driver on the Monsey Trails bus, that he made a big kiddush on Shabbos. And they asked him what happened. He said, let me tell you, I'm driving the bus and I have to be busy with the people, with money. And he says, I realized that I'm having Nesyonis and Shmiras Einayim. The woman coming up. So I decided I need something to push me to be Zach Mazgaber. So what I did was, I bought myself a clicker. And I decided that every time I'm Mazgaber on the Yetzer Hara, nobody knew. I gave a click. He said, this week I reached 2,000 clicks. Shouldn't I make a kiddush? This guy, this driver. But that's an approach. The Pshat Zazoi, it's not only that a person should be not only optimistic. Pshat is you should make a matzav of your little success. It's true. That's but it's part of tefillah. It's part of the broader picture. It's part of understanding that this was bedafka. It means we run into a problem in any matzah that we're trying to fix, that we feel it's a mistake. We always see only one part of the problem, because we're always caught by surprise. It's like, whoa. Every time we're like, we feel, Baruch Hashem, how are things going? Baruch Hashem. Boom. We're caught by surprise. And this goes on day by day, as long as the person's alive. So we try to fix that. Someone calls you, I'm in the store and the car doesn't work. That's how we act every time. Every type of nisoyan. Let me figure it out. I'm going to call you right back. I'm calling that person. We have to always zoom out. Zoom out pshat is, okay, it's part of the bigger plan. I fell again. I forgot again. So let me remind myself. And let me remind myself the full picture. And we're overwhelmed with feelings. Sometimes we're overwhelmed with feelings of giving up. Sometimes we're overwhelmed with feelings of guilty conscience. We get dragged in, and then we forget to look at the full picture. The full picture is that, imagine the Yidden Mitzrayim. The Yidden Mitzrayim is after a hard day of work. And what would get him out of Golus? Moshe Rabbeinu comes to the Yid and starts, it's the beginning of Parshas Vayera. I have news. He said he's going to take you out of Golus. Zok the Pasik. That they didn't want to listen. They said, I'll be Mavaseder soon. I have no idea what you're talking about. Oh, that's a sign that you're in Golus. In a certain sense, it's a good sign, because now I know what I need to do to get you out. To get you out of that Golus is to get back on track. Get back on track is tefillah, but all the parts of tefillah. And then a person from the inside, a certain das comes up. What should I do next? And that siyata d'shmaya helps him to get to the next stage, and then to the next stage. And then we know that promise that Hashem is going to help us out of that goes no matter what. Be'ito achishena. That Hashem is, some way or another, He is going to take us out of that golus. So many people that have their personal stories that they struggled for years, until that breaking point came, when they spoke to Rebbeinu Shlem from such a deep place, and then something changed. Something changed. Many, many people get to that place, but you could only get to that place after a person believes and didn't give up. You could only get to that place if a person felt the time of Kedusha and Geula. So they have this contrast of, on the one hand, I must be saved because I know there's good out there, and I once touched it. On the other hand, they felt the not good matziv, so they want to get out of it. And they feel a bipolar feeling of, you feel both sides. Let me just finish with this concept. Tshuka, that means a person has a deep desire, is always built from the two sides of, on the one hand, I know what that goal is because I once had something like that. On the other hand, I'm so far from it. If a person is missing one of these, they're never going to have that deep desire. So the Rebbeinu Shalom puts us into Golus, and Eibishter gave us the Te'ima of Geula in many ways, and then a person struggles and doesn't find a way, and then Hashem is going to give him back. Many times a person has Chodesh Tishrei, it's beautiful, they davened, they made a decision that this year 6 a.m. is 6 a.m. no matter what, I don't know where, but and then things came up, and they're like, I had it and I want to get it back, and I'm struggling to get that feeling back. Oh, that could bring you to the right matzav of tefillah. Just make sure you remember there is the kol yochel, and it could always come back. And that's our tafkid in Golus, to remember of Geula and be upbeat again, and to daven and to be b'shabeach and thank, and then the Eibishter is going to keep the promise and slowly but surely put us into the process of Geula. Okay.